Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fire Up Michigan. Glad to be back on Fire Up Michigan. Couldn't have a better crew here. And you talk about a crew. This is old school Michigan guard in every sense of the word. George Eichhorn back. Welcome back, George.
Good to be here again. Looking forward to our show.
And we welcome Butch Davis to the broadcast. Welcome to the big show, Butch.
Hey, thank you for having me there.
So, why don't you let the audience give them an overview about what you have going on in Detroit and all your broadcasting that you've done. I know we've known each other for a lot of years. The last time I think I saw you happened to be over at a Lions game. But before you do that, though, I want everybody to know that Fire Up Michigan is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Fire Up Michigan can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room, one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X at Tribune South. You can find us there. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes. All right, Butch, give everybody an overview and introduction of what you're doing and who you are.
Oh boy, I'm simply Butch, and I like to know who the heck are you guys there. Uh, I do a show called Butch on Sports. It's been going on now for at least 12 years. I'm also the one of the headhunters of getting reports and all the views and news and views for boy, I forget where I was. Solvent Radio there, which basically is WSOO, which broadcasts the lines up there in Sault Ste. Marie, and Sault Ste. Marie, Canada, of course, there, and all the Upper Peninsula. And also we kind of flow into Wisconsin here, boys and girls. Yes, we do. Easy to find me here. You can always get me on Facebook, but you want to go to the homepage, you can type in SIMPLYBUTCHTOO.podomatic.com, and you can always get the featured show, which comes on Sundays and Wednesdays, and also whenever you want, because you can go to that website and also just replay the good stuff there. And I'm just, again, happy to be here for you guys there.
Well, Candy Emily loves the fact that you talked about Wisconsin because for all those that want to visualize that, Wisconsin with a heart. My goodness, very good stuff. All right.
Oh, boy. There you go.
There you go. Hey. Yeah, my significant other, no better one than her, that's for sure. All right, well, let's talk about yesterday's Detroit Lions 20-6 win over the Atlanta Falcons. I was at the Miami Marlins Milwaukee Brewers game. So, George, what did you take out of that football game?
Well, I thought it was a great effort, especially defensively. I mean, they were really fired up. It was a war out there, and the Lions obviously won the war. I mean, Hutchinson was fired up, and Derek Barnes, Branch was playing really well. They had so many good things going for them defensively, especially, and then offensively. I mean, they did not score like we're used to them scoring 30 points or more, but they did get over the 20. They got the 20. But the thing is it was a consistency. There was a consistency to their attack, both offensively and defensively. That's the way I felt about that watching that game, because that's the game they really should have played against Seattle, but they didn't. Unfortunately, they were caught up and that one was slugfest, the Seattle game. But I thought the team looked very well, and I thought they rebounded defensively like they had to rebound yesterday, Scott.
Well, Candy Emily makes an observation, and she's definitely right on. Lions playing well under Dan Campbell. With that said, I'll let you pick up from there, Butch.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more hardcore on the Detroit Lions and the defense there. They played 75% better than they did when they played the last game, which was they lost to the Seahawks there. The defensive line and also the linebackers played outstanding there. That was a big missing piece for the Detroit Lions, I feel, in the first two games, really. The linebackers and also their defensive line getting pressure to the quarterback. And they made it very difficult with them with those seven sacks there, and also the hurries that they gave on the quarterback. It was just tremendous there. That the safeties and also the cornerbacks there again, I feel there's some work to do, but they did do a lot better. I always feel when you're cornerback, you give them 5 yards to beat the crap out of each other there. Sometimes you got to take advantage of it there. And the Lions got to do a better job of taking advantage instead of pushing back and giving carte blanche to a good receiver. When they go to Green Bay, it's going to be a different situation with the receivers there. And they don't get physical with those particular receivers. We're going to see a lot closer game than people expect there. And I know everyone expects the Lions to go in there and just run them out of Lambeau Field. That's not going to happen if the cornerbacks and safeties don't do a better job or maybe being a lot more physical there. Did the Lions defense do well? Yes, they did. Did the offense put points on the board when they needed to put points on board? Yes, they did. So let's give them a B plus in the game that they played yesterday there. But again, I feel definitely doggone positive when the cornerbacks and the safeties do a better job of being physical there.
I like when Jared Goff, to me, is a good game manager, but more importantly, I like the fact he's starting to run the football a little bit more, so he's using his legs a little bit. When you have a guy, and again, I don't mind calling him a game manager, as long as a game manager doesn't hurt you and throw the football away. Why do you think he had that nice interception situation where he didn't throw many? Because he's turning out to be a good game manager working it within the system, and add that to his legs and you have a pretty good quarterback. By the way, once upon a time Matt Stafford preceded him. How did that work out? It's called a win-win situation, let alone the fact that bradholmes and the draft capital only enhanced what they had already done. All right, well, let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings. Let's talk about the excitement building around the Red Wings, George.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to this season. We were just talking before we went on the air, and the Traverse City camp, the training camp is short as it is over up in Traverse City. They only stay up there for a few days, less than a week, and they start with Pittsburgh Penguins tomorrow night at Little Caesars Arena, game one of the exhibition season. They play a lot more exhibition games than the Lions do and the Pistons too. But I think there's something like 7 exhibition games, I believe. But I'm looking forward to this year. I really am, guys. I think that the acquisitions that Steveyzerman made will help the team. He picked up some good backup goaltenders. He picked up quite a few on defense and offensively, guys that can put the puck in the net. There's some goal scorers. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. And as long as they could stay healthy, obviously that's a cliche, but if they can stay healthy and not lose too many games to injuries, I think they got a shot at possibly contending for one of those playoff spots. I'm really looking forward to this season, Scott and Butch. I really think it's going to hopefully be a good one.
Butch?
Well, beyond the hype, and there's not too much of it going on there, I think Steveyzerman done an outstanding job of keeping the hype out of there. The veterans they picked up this year in Petry and several others there is going to be a godsend for the Detroit Red Wings and how they get to the playoffs there. Without that saying there, the young players that they have right now, which is left right now, the roster's on to 54 players. There's a lot of decisions that they're going to have to be made on who's going to stay and who's going to go. I'm very interested in who's going to stay, and I'm quite sure if they don't bring a lot more younger players than expected to the general public there, we might find some surprises there. But again, it's going to be up to those particular veterans to have some leadership and show that leadership throughout game after game after game after game when the regular season come about there. I don't take a lot of homage on the preseason. I never have, and I probably never will. But again, I think the big decision is what young kids they're going to keep, how they have progressed, how the older players, like again a Petry, who I'm glad they finally went out there and got. He should have been here 3 or 4 years ago here. I think the Red Wings would have been much better defensively than they are right now. But I think Petry's influence, along with some other players. I think it's Haas or Host. I can't pronounce that guy's name there, short name there. But again, if they do what they say they're going to do, they should make the playoffs this year, without a doubt. But again, I'm kind of looking at what young kids they're going to keep and what veterans are going to be influential in making that team a lot better. That has to be dealt with there. I don't think they have any problem with goaltending. I think the big problem with goaltending is that you can't let players come in there carte blanche and score on you, and you're not being physical on that defensive line. I think this year will be the year that the defense be physical. If they are physical and do the basics as defensive players should do, and the forechecking is a lot better than they have been in years and years and years, I think the Red Wings have a very good chance of going to the playoffs and maybe winning some games in that first round.
That would be nice.
All right, let's address a couple things. Jeffpetry, glad to see him finally back in Detroit. I'm sure his dad, Dan Petry, just as happy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dereklalonde, Malone, not sure how you pronounce it, but what do they call him? Newsy Malone? Is that what they call
Newsy,
him up there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how much newsy he has when he has some good news and better talent around him in his second year. I'll be anxious to see how well Lalone grows in his second year in the job. But let's not forget about alexdebrincat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's
a good one.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And you know what, guys?
As well.
Yeah, he's only 25 years old. He's a veteran already, but he's only 25. He's from Farmington. He went to University of Michigan, like Larkin. And you're right, Scott. I mean, that's a big acquisition, 25, 30 goal scorer. I mean, they need that. He's a smaller guy, smaller stature, but he played a heck of a good game the last several years of his career. And I think that was well worth it, the trade that they made to obtain him. DeBrincat, he should be on that top line, guys, I think, with Lucas-Raymond and dylanlarkin. I'm hoping, at least.
He should be there. And I think one of the big reasons right now that the Red Wings will be a lot better is that you have players finally who want to be here, okay? We know the Illich's got plenty of money, and now any player or veteran come here is going to get paid, okay? We don't have to worry about them not getting their money or not getting a surplus in their daily mens of walking on the Red Wings ice there. I think the big thing is, again, Petry from Michigan. We got players who want to be here, and that's a huge difference when you have players that you just pick up and just bring them here, end up throwing them out in the street toward the end of the season, or else they're going to another team to help them win and whatnot there.
Right.
We got players now who want to be here, and the Brinkers is going to be, I think, a huge key. They kept that very, very quiet, and for reasons being because many teams wanted him and wanted him very, very bad. Steveyzerman played that card very good there in getting him here and paying the guy some money there. And again, he's not damaged goods. That's a huge, huge thing when it comes down to bringing a good veteran or a kid to another team. He doesn't have baggage that he's bringing from the other team as far as injury is concerned. If that can start off fresh, George, you said it. Scott, I know you'll say it. If they can do that and keep the injury bug out the ladder there, I think, again, the Red Wings have a very good opportunity to entertain the fans and playing some good hockey in the city of Detroit.
Who in their right mind would not want to go to a historical original 6 team? Really? Let alone one that's won 11 Stanley Cup championships and can even get on national television when they're rebuilding?
Well, here's the thing now. You got a lot of players, although that is very well true, Scott, they want the money first. And, and we haven't had those players lately here to come in here and say, I'm glad I'm here because of the history, because of what they have done and where we at right now. And fans who come in here and support, regardless if we win, lose, or draw, they're going to be here. They're going to show up. We haven't had those kind of players here. Again, we end up trading them players off to another team that's end up going to the playoffs,
Right.
which we end up with nothing from nothing means nothing. We have players now that want to be here, want to stay here, and hopefully they don't get the bug where basically they get injuries where at the end of the season of February there, you're seeing players getting dealt off to other places there.
Good point. Anthonymantha, it's too bad it didn't work out with him, but that's just how it goes.
I think that's going to be a bad move to bite the Red Wings in the rear end there. I think
Well,
they should have gave some patience.
Yeah, the thing is, it was a similar situation to what Avila was doing. Remember with the Tigers? I don't want to jump into baseball too deeply, but I mean, what Yzerman was trying to do is move these guys in order to get some young capital in return. So I wouldn't say it was a waste in trading away guys like Bertuzzi or Mantha, people like that, but it's hard on us because Detroit fans want to break this crazy no playoff streak now after we had 25 years in a row making the playoffs.
Right.
Well, Bertuzzi was a good move. Okay,
I think it's up to 7 now. 7 years, 6 or 7 years they haven't made the.
Bertuzzi was a good move. Okay, I don't think he wanted to be here. I think he was here for show. I think right now wherever he's gone to, I think Toronto per se there, he's going to be great there. But again, he just didn't fit in with the Red Wings, and he stayed injured left and right.
Yeah,
he never kept his body right here. You got to have some players that care about their body and want to come in here fresh and ready to go and do the things that's going to keep them well. And Bertuzzi it never came to fruition there. Half the season he would be here, and then half the season he couldn't play because of the COVID situation and whatnot. Refusing to be cooperative with the team there, which basically I think is stupid. But again, he has the right to do what he wants to do, and Steveyzerman has the right to say, okay, I'll go along with it for X number of times there. But I think enough was enough. Again, Mantha, that was a different situation. He was very cooperative. He was very team-oriented. But Bertuzzi, on the other hand, I think that was a great move here, getting rid of him.
Yeah, the Bertuzzi situation is about availability, or in his case, lack thereof it. Right, and you also have to understand the fact that not only is Steveyzerman trying to put his mark on the franchise, he's trying to get out of Kenholland's moves as well, overpaying guys, dealing with salary cap issues, trading away the farm to get players. So Steveyzerman has walked into a hornet's nest of problems, and it's taken him a while to gut it out, and now he's starting to rebuild it back. So good points all the way around. Exactly. We'll stay on the Red Wings for a moment, and then our last topic will be on the Tigers. Sergeifederov, at some point or another, are we going to see his jersey retired, George?
I sure hope so, Scott. I mean, I know they're going to do Datsuk. They'll have to do Zetterberg, but I'm telling you, 91 should be up in the rafters. There's no question about it. The thing that the things that you always hear is that, okay, well, he left the team under bad circumstances and all that. Oh, that's a bunch of garbage. Get past it. I say, get past it. I mean, it was sad the way they made it. Red Kelly was in his 90s when he finally got his jersey retired by the Illiches. And, he was gone less than several months later. Remember, he passed away.
Right, exactly.
But all that being said, obviously you're not going to wait that long if you're going to do Fedorov or not. But, I mean, I don't know. There's some things that, stick in the craws, they say, of the Illiches or maybe the owners of the team. Yeah. But, move past it, get past it. I think he does deserve it. Stanley Cup champion, Hart Trophy winner, and just a great guy, a super athlete. I think it's overdue. I think they should do it.
That saying, Detroit has always a problem in doing things the right way. And when you see good players, and they had problems trying to get Fedorov here in the first place here. And if you can remember way back when there, it was, the problems they went with the Russians and to get him here and go through the back doors and all the other stuff there to get him here. Finally, they got him here. They weren't patient when he was a little bit younger there, but then he kind of bloomed into to this player that can score goals and whatnot. Then the big thing about it, and this is a big thing that I kind of like about Fedorov, he changed his game around there. Okay, he started taking from an offensive player to more or less a great defensive player there, and he would use the body and whatnot there to kind of fend off there. And he wasn't always on that first line. If you can remember Fedorov in his great days with the Red Wings when they were winning championships, he was on the second or third line there, and he was doing very, very well. But his great attribute to me here is that he got physical and he changed his game around, as well as Yzerman during that particular time. Again, those two people playing and changing their game around, they made it very, very sweet. The Red Wings should have did it a long time ago. They should have did it when they had the Hall of Fame ceremonies here in Detroit. Some back, like it had to be George. You were there about 3 or 4 years ago. There when I got
it's less than that. It's just a year or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah. When downtown there. Well, down the street there per se. They should have did it then. But again, the Red Wings are always slow and doing things, I mean, the right way, especially when it comes down to putting those jerseys in the rafters there. They might have to make him a trophy or something there. I don't think all that is necessary there, but just get that guy's jersey hanging up there and the fans acknowledging him for the contributions he had made so very well for the Red Wings there. And for him to stick in there so many years when they wasn't doing anything at all, that's to me, it shows loyalty toward the Red Wings.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about this thing is don't burn your bridges with the Illiches. They hold grudges and they won't let you hear the end of it.
That's true. Very true.
They do hold grudges. That's why number 91 is not sitting up in the rafters at Little Caesars Arena. Last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go to the Detroit Tigers, hiring General Manager Jeff Greenberg. Some thoughts on the move, George?
I didn't know too much about his background, but I've been reading up on him, and Jeff did spend a considerable amount of time in baseball. You know, it's funny. One of my friends, who's a real big Tiger fan, made a comment to me yesterday about, oh, he was working for the Chicago Blackhawks. Why the hell would you hire somebody that was with the Chicago Blackhawks? Hey, Kirk, calm down. Look at his whole resume. It wasn't just in hockey, okay? Yeah, his most recent was working for Chicago Blackhawks, but that tells me he's well-rounded a little bit. All that to say, look at his resume. He has been successful. He has worked in baseball's front office even for a little bit. And, you know, Harris knows him. They know each other. They were together, I guess, at the Cubs for a little bit of time. So other than that, he's got a hell of a name, huh? Greenberg? What, does that name sound familiar in Detroit? I think so. Even though he's not related to the great hammering Hank Greenberg of Tiger fame. But no, Scott and Butch, I am taking a wait and see to a little extent, but I'm just glad finally they filled the position. I don't blame Scott Harris for doing what he did in hindsight, you know, leaving it open. And he had 3 assistant general managers that are doing a lot of that legwork underneath him anyways. But I hope Greenberg works out. I mean, you know, it's going to be, we all know it's the scouting, it's the drafting, it's the developing of these young guys, both offense and defense and pitching. I mean, you know, they need to keep continuing with that pipeline, the minor league pipeline, and the minor league system is going to bring this team back. But I hope Greenberg works out.
Well, from what I hear, he's got a good background with the Chicago Cubs and recently worked for the Chicago Blackhawks. So,
yeah,
let's face it, some of these younger guys, especially their analytic guys, I think that what really happened with Scott Harris, as the old saying goes with Gene Hackman, let's see what hand I've been dealt in Hoosiers. Now he sees what hand he's been dealt before you even have that guy in. They're having a decent year, whether they won 73 games, so they're assured of not losing 90 at least. So the progression, now you take the next step in terms of bringing him in, and then they have Casey Mize and a lot of guys coming back from injury, and yet they're able to muster a respectable degree of progress in the rebuild. With that said, Butch, take it from there. And I should point out one thing before you do. Happy 90th birthday, Scottybowman. Obviously, you're the cornerstone of a lot of what the Red Wings have done. Want to get that out while we have. All right, Butch, go ahead.
Okay, well, fun fact for you, Scott, here. Mr. Greenberg came up in the same manner as a particular coach in Miami. Okay, and he's in basketball. And I remember that very well. My first job was with a gentleman named John Spostra there, who basically did a lot of things in
Right.
bringing Portland basketball to the fruition there. And there was his son learning the trick of the trade in the developing room, or should I say, doing videotapes and cutting tape and whatnot there. And that's why Pat Riley stole him away and took him to L.A. And uh, the, the gentleman went from there to Miami, and from that point on, he's just a famous guy there. And I think this guy named Greenberg, he worked out the same way. He started off in the film room. He worked his way up
Right.
through the particular type of jobs they gave him there because he had that keen sense of giving facts and figures and whatnot and looking at the fine tuning edge of a young player. And that's going to help us, I think, personally, with the young players that we have in Toledo and in Western Michigan there. Uh, uh, Basically, making a suitable decision in not keeping a player down in Toledo or maybe in Western Michigan, or else in that case, Erie or Lakeland, very, very long. Moving them along in a pace where, again, that has been my biggest beef with the Detroit Tigers. Now I'm looking at Mize, for instance, there is no way I put him through the rigors when he just wins a World Series and he goes through what he went through. And now you put him through the rigors for another 2 or 3 years, and now his arm's not worth a good stuff, okay, for the Detroit Tigers there. I thought he should have been brought up a lot sooner rather than put him through the rigors of going through beginning and end. I think that's a lot of things that right now baseball has to come to terms with there, is that some of those players that they're keeping down there for a considerable amount of years don't need the seasoning there. I think you need to go up there and bring them up right away, and it's more deserving there, especially when these players are now playing college baseball. Okay, and they're playing a significant amount of games. They're getting the exposure and whatnot. They're doing great things in those college World Series and all. And then after all of that, you stick them down in Lakeland, Florida, or knows where, America, or whatever, to do or play Mexican ball, and you still don't get a look at them. Now you're wearing them down to a no, not one. You're not taking advantage of a guy being, and I use this word very loosely there, being hot as a firecracker there, bringing him up to the major leagues there and letting him get his feet wet just to see how he is and how he stems through all that fame and fortune he got in college versus coming in the major leagues now, which basically he's ready, but you throw him down there in Lakeland or somewhere there, and now he got to start all over again. I just don't think it's right, especially in the days and age of how college baseball has progressed. And I think he will be a good person for the Tigers because I don't think those young players who they get right away, especially when they get them out of college, will have to sit there very, very long in the minor leagues. Bringing them up early instead of later is always, to me, the best way to kind of gauge is this player's ready or not there. Baseball's a simple game to play there. If you're on the big stage or little stage, I can see it somewhat maybe you doing that if some kid come out of high school. I can see that very well, but not when he does 4 years or 5 years in college, and now you put him back in the hole. Okay, that's just
Right.
it's not economical to you, especially when you're paying them big bucks. And you if you're picking up the player in the first or second round, you're paying them good bucks here. Why are you going to waste that money and keep them down there? Why not put him in a double A ball or triple A ball from the get go, and then get him up here sooner to see how he gauges with major league attention there? So I think Greenberg would be very good and not so much his placement as being a general manager and all the things he have done as a general manager with the Cubs and whatnot there, and all those positions he did with the Chicago Blackhawks in hockey. But again, gauging those players where you can get them up here sooner and they make those contributions to the major league team sooner than later there. I think we have a problem with that with the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one area you don't have a problem, and here's some news that just came across my desk recently. A guy that I spoke to this summer when I was up in Daytona Beach, covering the Tortugas and the Lakeland Flying Tigers. Here's some good information for our Detroit audience, okay? The manager of the year is Andrew Graham. 70-61 second half division champions. I had an opportunity to interview Andrew Graham, who hails from Australia, and he is the manager of the year in the Florida State League for the Lakeland Flying Tigers. Take that name down there, put it in your pocket. This guy here, I had a wonderful conversation with Andrew. Go ahead, Butch.
And that's another thing too. Why are we going out throughout the major league when we got so much good talented coaches within our system that can be moved up? I think that's a big mistake with the Detroit Tigers. One of the bigger mistakes with the Detroit Tigers. I'm looking at a pitching coach right now who right now is not ready and don't have it together there. Why not go to Toledo? Why not go to Erie? Why not bring a person who's been developing pitchers and doing very, very well to bring them up to the major league level? There got to be some sense of basically loyalty toward our major league team, where it used to be that way here. We look at 68 Tigers who won the World Series. How many of those players came from Michigan? A lot. Right. How many players when we went to 84, in which I was living in Portland, Oregon, doing my time with Portland and whatnot there? Right. How many of those players came right dead out of Michigan? A lot, okay? We, this year, had a draft, okay, and did not pick up one player out of the state of Michigan, where there were many from the major league level, such as Toronto, and I was picking them off. Right. We just had a kid who passed away, okay, just recently there out of the city of Ecorse, Michigan there, who had a total of 25 letters to go to college, okay? And I bless my soul on this young man there who passed away this past weekend or weekends past. And you don't draft them? You don't go see them? Come on. I think the Tigers scouting has to be better in the state of Michigan. We got talent here, second to none, and they're not taking advantage of it. I mean, I have nothing against you going to Venezuela, and you're going to Mexico, and you're going here to Cuba. I have nothing against that. But when you have players in your own backyard and you don't pick them up and you don't draft them or you don't give a good cahoot about them, and these are scouts in your state and you don't know nothing, come on, you're going to be behind. There, other teams are laughing at us, okay, right now because they know we do have talent there.
Well, let me just point out a couple of things that really validate what you're saying. Like I said, you're going to see Andrew Graham moving through the Tiger system. If you look at his bio, he's been there like over at least 5 years or so. So he's been in there for a while.
Right.
Now, to validate your point, I was in Arizona a few years ago, wrote a story on Chris Russin, Michigan product.
Exactly.
But the big one here is djlemahieu. How did that one get away?
The Yankees,
What are we doing?
Forget the Yankees. He was at the Colorado Rockies.
Rockies. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's get your geography straight, man. You're right now in a Rocky Mountain low because you put the Yankees behind the Rockies, man.
Well,
yeah, but really, djlemahieu to me is the guy that djlemahieu to me should have been a Detroit. I asked him that question a while back, but djlemahieu, Chris Russin, and I know the list goes on and on. What about John Smoltz, another one that got away?
John Smoltz, we got rid of him, okay, to Atlanta and whatnot there. But we did draft him now. We did draft him, okay.
Yeah, we drafted him, but the problem was that was one of those weird situations where you trade him for Doyle Alexander, who gave you the immediate return, but then we also saw John Smoltz. We saw what happened later. So I'm not totally going to pin that one on the Tigers. All I'm doing, Butch, is bringing up the fact that you have good talent in the state with the ones I just
And
mentioned.
you're right,
That's
Scott. The recognition was there in those days where, again, the Detroit Tigers scouting team looked at players in the state of Michigan and they
Right.
grabbed them, okay? And that's what I
Right.
want to see them do more of. I want them to
Right.
grab these players out of northern Michigan, out of western Michigan, out of central Michigan, out of the city of Detroit where you got Clark Park and all these doggone players, in Warren where they do play incredible basketball and incredible football and baseball and all. I want them to pick them up there. I want them to go out there on a Saturday afternoon instead of spending airplane fare to, I don't know where, USA or in the Caribbean cruise there, whatever he's doing, and go down and sit in a park or something and watch these kids play and evaluate and save some money and also some time and get a player who want to be here, okay, and get them good players.
Agree.
Well,
Agree.
yeah,
I always wonder why the Lions never took more Michigan players. And the one thing about United States Football League a long time was you had the territorial draft, and the Michigan Panthers were beneficiaries of that. So
Exactly.
I'm with you all the way, Butch. I'm totally with you. I agree 1,000%.
Yeah. And
A lot of good athletes in Michigan.
Another thing that bothers me is they, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the players that came out of the United Shores Professional League, Jimmy John's Field in Utica, I don't think the Tigers are scouting them. I never see any of those players. No, Minnesota Twins. No, Texas Rangers picked up this kid, that kid, giving him a tryout. Tigers, are you upset because they're competing with you to a certain extent? Utica versus Comerica Park. Come on.
Wait a minute. Warren Kuzno was pumping out kids left and right going to Major League. If they got drafted in the 39th round, they got drafted by other doggone teams in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
they were not given a dime from the Detroit Tigers staff at all. And that's a shame.
It's a lot of young local talent, like you guys said, that have been just slipped through the cracks. Yeah.
Well, I guess if there's anything we can say about Detroit sports, Michigan sport, at least Aiden Hutchinson stayed in the state anyways.
Yeah.
Well, now.
How did that work? Now, you know what? I don't know why. For some crazy reason, I think they're not going to let him go. I think they're going to manage him.
I hope not either. He's a Chris Spielman type of player, and they got
him anywhere else.
Yeah.
I guess my best memory of Aiden Hutchinson was how quickly the Detroit Lions got that pick up, and much of the dismay of the NFL. They wanted more time to run their commercials, and they got that card up, and Roger Goodell could have waited, but no, they went and brought him up there.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So now you have it. A little bit of Lakeland Fly Tigers trivia. Andrew Graham, I'll tell you, I was impressed. I sat in the office with him, and I was able to spend a lot of time to get to know the man. Watch out, Tigers fans. This guy will be moving through the ranks. Did a wonderful job. And people have to understand about Florida State League. Once upon a time, it was high A. Now it's low A. So if you can develop low A prospects and do it in the manner that he's done, can you imagine how much better it's going to go as you see them progress in the farm system?
Again, and that's something the Tigers got to clean up quickly.
Yeah, and
I'm with you.
One other thing, guys, don't forget Erie. The Erie Seawolves did win. Yeah, and they had champagne celebration. Jeff Seidel of the Detroit Free Press had a nice story. He went to cover the Erie Seawolves, loaded with good players supposedly, but they won their division, and they're in the playoffs still.
And again, I think that's a big job of Greenberg right now. He needs to decipher who's doing the job and who's not doing the job as far as the scouting is concerned with the Detroit Tigers. And those players who are being rearranged and staying in Erie. Again, Western Michigan is another place that you look at there. Toledo, and also Lakeland there. We gotta do evaluations a lot better than what they do. Again, we have good players in our system there. I think they're just letting them sit there and rot until other players or other teams, I should say, come and pick them up, and that should not be the case. The scouting, again, hopefully, again, he does a yeoman's job of saying, hey, look, let's look at what we have in our state here. That saves you money, that saves you time. It's better to send somebody in the Upper Peninsula and watch Escanaba and look toward Wisconsin and look toward maybe Sault Ste. Marie and send them there, then you send them down to the Caribbeans and whatnot there.
Right.
And I'm not, again, I have nothing against that because you always find a diamond in the rough. But when these players every single year, and we have tournaments and whatnot there, then I don't see a whole heck of a lot of the Detroit Tigers even going to those, okay? Taking part in the process of looking at these young kids, and other teams just pick them up. Again, the young man from who got picked up by Toronto on the final draft of the year of last year went to Toronto. I forgot his name. I had it written down, but again, what next time I'll have it in my doggone memory there.
All
But
right.
again, you got good players is being picked up other places there. And again, I think that's the fault of the Detroit Tigers. That has to be remedied quick, fast, and in a hurry. If they want to be a good team, not so much right now because they're not, okay? They got to do a lot of cleaning up here right now in order to make this team competitive. I think right now you got to look at those players in area and whatnot there who are ready to come in here and say, hey, look, let's take a chance, get these players the time that they need. And also, again, look at the pitching situation there. The pitching situation there is a joke, okay? Especially when it comes down, you're
Right.
running out here and getting other veteran players, and you got these young kids. You go invest in majority of your drafts with the going for arms, okay? And you don't waste them here, okay? Waste them in the major league. You're paying the kids. Waste them here, okay? You know,
Right.
why get damaged goods and half the people you go pick up again, you can't even use them now. And then again, the kids that you do pick up, you're wearing them out in the minor leagues there, and now they're sitting around here just absolutely can do nothing because again they're in having Tommy John surgeries and all the
Right.
rest. It's a waste, okay? Let's rearrange the system where these kids can look forward to coming to the Detroit Tigers. You got to give people a reason to want to be here. And I think right now the kids will come here and get the money, but if they got opportunity to get out of town by sundown, it'll be the most happiest day in town for their parents and everybody else here. Okay. So let's give them opportunity to want to stay here.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the one advantage the Tigers have, and I know Jeff Greenberg mentioned this, what he took the job. I'm glad, again, I've reiterated it, and I'll say it one more time. He's coming to a historical franchise. And we all know in Detroit, you have 4 historical franchises. And if you can get a job in this market in Metro Detroit, that's an enticement. I mean, think Scott Harris leaves a what? San Francisco Giants come here to Detroit. Jeff Greenberg as well. So you're talking historical franchise. And one thing the Tigers have going that we haven't mentioned yet, that I'll mention now, is they play in the American League Central Division, so they can get well very quickly if they have
Yeah.
a little bit of if they have some good luck in terms of staying away from the injury bug and
Well,
all that.
hopefully,
So
one of us, 2 of us, go to the ceremony tomorrow when they bring in Jeff Greenberg there and ask him the question. You know, what are you going to do about the state of Michigan? Are you going to improve your scouting in the state of Michigan there? And if I'm down there and if I get a chance to get that mic, you can bet your bottom dollar that'll be the question I ask. If I don't get nothing else out there, that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
that's right, because once you get it, then I expect you to give us the answer here on Fire Up Michigan, just so you know.
Sure,
So
I
we'll
want
have
them to
more.
keep the film so you can show it here, man.
Oh no, we don't get rid of anything here. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many episodes I have, but once they're on, they're on. So for a lot of those folks out there that are watching or listening to us, no episode gets deleted. So don't hesitate to go to South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We have them all, and Candy does such a good job. She puts them on playlists. That's way above my pay grade. I don't do that. All I do is put these bad boys together. No relation to the regular bad boys. Just depends on how much caffeine I've had.
Yeah, I got a
in my
bad
system
habit
to
of
be able to-
asking wicked questions to wicked people. I remember when the new Pistons owner came here, and I guess
Yeah.
the question I asked him was, "Is that this is one of the few cities in town? Then this is when they were playing at the Palace
Right.
and didn't have the attendance. Why is it not a shuttle going from Detroit, Michigan downtown to the Palace of Auburn Hills? What are you going to do about that? And lo and behold, 3 years later, they're out of the palace blowing it up here. And now they're here in the city of Detroit. But a lot of the media people, they looked at me like, you freak. You asking this question. And the answer he gave me was just so, well, we're going to give money to the parks and we're going to fix up some things. That's not what I asked you here, buddy. I'm asking you why you don't supply a need for the city of Detroit to be able to watch the Detroit Pistons. And, when, again, I remember in LA there, LA had a system where basically they had shuttle system from downtown Los Angeles to, Inglewood, California. I remember with the Portland Trail Blazers, which had a small arena, $12.99, whatever it may be there. We had the Paramount Theater, which was downtown Portland, where the actual people who could not get a ticket in Memorial Coliseum until they made the Rose Garden and again to the Motor Center, that's what they call it now.
Right.
They went down to the Paramount and saw the game for maybe $5 or whatnot there, because again, cable wasn't all that big business there. But again, that was somewhere the Portland Trail Blazers were able to make an extra $4,000, 4,000 people going to see a game in the theater, which upped the ante from maybe 12 something or 8 to 18,000 people watching the game there. Why wasn't that not done? And at that particular time when he came here, I think the Pistons went rock bottom there because they was getting rid of everything. They got rid of the shocks and whatnot. They got rid of this. They got rid of that. They made it very comfortable for him to buy the place because, again, they got rid of every doggone thing. Joe Dumars was working on the shoestring as far as he had his job until they threw him out in the street there. So we got, there's a lot going on here in the city of Detroit where we have had to play comeback and getting things once upon a time the way they used to be versus where they was once upon a time there.
Well, I will say this.
Go ahead.
I will say this as we wrap it up shortly, that I do miss my time at the Palace of Auburn Hills. I really do.
Boy.
I really do. To me, that building gave me so much joy and gratification.
It was a long ride for me, but it was worth it every single time to go out there and have fun.
I think Gores has done a great job for the city and the community, though. They just announced again another project with Henry Ford Hospital today, which they're behind that. The Pistons are behind that. And then all these playgrounds that he has fixed up in Detroit for the children to play basketball and all that. So this man does have a heart for giving back to the community. Arn Tellum and Tom Gores are doing a great job in that area. So I have no complaints about that at all.
However, he can't stop.
Well, nobody's downplaying the significance
down
of man's heart. All I'm telling you.
Go ahead.
Now, I'm telling you, I enjoyed my time at the Palace of Auburn Hills. I enjoyed the Pontiac Silverdome. Those venues in Oakland County gave me a lot of memories. Nobody is downplaying what their contributions are. The only thing they haven't done, which wasn't their fault, is get an MLS team, and that wasn't their fault. You can't blame them. There was a lot of money there. Just the MLS didn't want it, and that market. That's called self-destruction 101.
Exactly.
Or if you're Spanish, since I once upon a time dated a Spanish person, I call it El Stupido. But that's the only Spanish I know outside of That was El Stupido. The MLS should have had there. They had Ford Field waiting there. You have a team in Atlanta that plays in a football stadium, but no, Detroit had to build their own
Fix up Hamtramck. Fix Hamtramck. Invest some money out in Hamtramck. For that crowd to go out there, and there's a crowd, and then some that goes to Hamtramck to support the current soccer team out there. Fix that stadium up. Make it comfortable. Work with the city of Hamtramck. We have a place to play soccer, okay? If you use your brain and get some people out here to say, hey, look, we may not can't put them downtown. We may not can't build something here right away. But we can redo the stadium here, not only to help the city of Hamtramck out, but also to make it comparable enough to have a major league team here and work it out there. You can do that. They can do that. that stadium is workable where you can fix it up and put
And
extra seating in there.
hey, Butch, you know when it'll happen? I'll give you
Mhm.
2 words for that. Good luck. And when I'm 100 years old and I'll be long and dead in Milwaukee at Wisconsin Memorial
And I
Park when that happens.
agree.
I'm just telling you, the
I
MLS
agree.
does unbelievable things. You talk about Lionel Messi in my neck of the woods, and people are paying a lot of money now. He's missed a game or two, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Don't get me started there with soccer,
Exactly.
but Detroit deserves it, and maybe we'll leave another show to talk about soccer. But the
And
main
they
thing
will
is, I'm glad
support it
we.
here. They
Yeah.
have supported soccer here for quite some time. It's not like the old days at Tiger Stadium per se there, or Ford Field, where basically I think one of the major kickbacks is that they're looking for you to put grass out there instead of having the artificial turf there, which
Yeah,
that's
okay.
one
Don't
of
get
the
my opinion on it,
MLS's
man.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that
Yeah.
one.
Well,
Yeah, let me
that's
tell you what, Butch, okay? Yeah, I'll give you another couple words, okay, about the MLS, okay? Double standard.
exactly.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Seattle, right? Don't matter. Atlanta, don't matter. Charlotte, don't matter. Doesn't matter all these places. Put them there. But Detroit comes around, don't put them there. We want you to
Yeah.
Again,
build on a rail
that's
site.
why
Give me a break.
That's
Really?
why I mentioned Hamtramck, because that's a stadium that is viable where you can put natural grass there. That stadium is viable where you can add sections to that particular building at this time and make it viable where you can put more people in the doggone place to see the game. The only thing that's not valuable right now is maybe parking, but they seem to manage okay when it comes down to supporting this Detroit team that they have right now. So again, you work with people, and again, the MLS or whoever they may be running the joint there, get the right people involved there, and then we got to back the city of Hamtramck up too, and saying, "Hey, look, you know what? We're with you before. No, it's not downtown. It's there, but you know what? This is a viable place to play."
Well, George Eichhorn will get you Don Garber's information, and then you go out there and do it. And if you get Don Garber on this show here, and you find a sponsor, I'll give you 100% of the action if you can
You
pull
can't
that
get
one off.
Don out here, the George. George, come on.
There you go. Mentioning George Eichhorn, the Fire Up Michigan Challenge. Get Don
Well,
Garber
he
on the
was at
show
the
with
party
Butch
up
Davis
front
and I,
too. He was
and there'll
at
be some
Polish
real
night
big.
there.
There you go. There'll be some major perks coming your
That's
way,
right.
Mr. Davis. That's for sure.
There you go. He was at the
And we
party
got to
the
keep
other
it
night.
fun. We got to keep it real. Fire Up Michigan. My name is Scott Morganoff. Appropriately named the Motor City Madmouth. Yes, for this show, it really works. George Eichhorn, and pleased to be on with Butch Davis, a guy that I've known forever. Used to hang out with him at Red Wings games. Used to hang out with the Lions. We couldn't have enough conversations. We could talk your ear off anyways, because he knows I was at the Lions games a lot. I showed up
Oh, the
everywhere.
Lions game, you tore up there from the old
Oh,
Silver Dome.
God. You know what? I will say this. I live in Florida now, love the sunshine year round, but nobody's going to say that my heart isn't back in Metro Detroit, because it really is. I love the relationships I had with a lot of the PR people. And if it weren't for Metro Detroit, I don't think I would be able to comfortably say that it's a big, large part of what I've tried to accomplish in 40 plus years in the business.
Yep.
And it's so
Yep.
nice.
Amen.
And it's so nice to be able to talk, all three of us tonight, talking about sports. And you know what, Butch, if you want to come back on Fire Up Michigan, knowing that you got the biggest loud mouth on the planet, you have an open invitation anytime you want.
Whenever you would like me there, make it, just email me here and I'll make myself available for you guys.
Well, you know what, Butch, you can rest assured George and I are gonna have a lot of good guests coming up, and George is working on a couple. And you know what, Butch, we're going to include you on those shows if you'd like to do it.
Appreciate it. I really do. This is an honor to be here, though.
Well, it's an honor, bigger honor to have you on. Just so everybody know.
Yep.
Okay, I'll let everybody do their intros here, and then I'll wrap it up tonight. I have some business I have to take care of tomorrow, but at any rate, I want to let everybody know one more time that Fire Up Michigan is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Fire Up Michigan can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. We're over 900, so let's get us the rest of the way, please. Great. And thank you all at one time. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send your comments in the chat room, or you can go out there and send your topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter, X, @Tribune South. Candy Ebling's behind the scenes. And I'm writing a book out there called Adjusting to New Media. And I'll be coming up with a more firmer title, but that's what the main concept's about. Our goal is to hopefully have that released by Thanksgiving time. But meanwhile, what a great opportunity to bring on Butch. I knew we were thinking about it, but sometimes we all know in life, Butch, that timing is everything. And having you on tonight worked out tremendously. All right, George, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
All righty. I got the book out there called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. It's available. There's a link to purchase the book at the end of my column. I write for the Motor City Tribune under the South Florida Tribune banner. And Scott's in the book. And Butch, unfortunately, I don't have a picture of you in the book, but your name is in the book.
Yeah, I like the name.
Yeah. G. Eichhorn. You can reach me at gichorn@yahoo.com and also on LinkedIn under my name, George Eichhorn. You can find me on these programs that Scott and the Candy do here, 108 Stitches and Inside the Pigskin and Fire Up series and the Pundit's Pundit. I'm excited to be here and always enjoyed the programming. Thank you.
All right, Butch, let everybody know they get all of you. You did it earlier. Do it again.
Yeah, again, Butch on Sports is the name of the game. Sundays and Wednesdays, always a podcast available there. You can go to Facebook to get Butch on Sports, or you can also go to my homepage at podomatic.com. Just type in SIM, S as in Sam, IMPLYBUTCHTOO.podomatic.com, WSOO up in Sault Ste. Marie, or News Talk 1400 in Sault Ste. Marie. Also, is a place where you can catch me and giving up some spirited conversation on sports news that you just can't get enough of.
Well, we couldn't get enough of it tonight. We could have gotten a whole lot more, but we're going to save it for the next episode with George and Butch. My name is Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Scott, take care of yourself, okay? Doing those right now for tomorrow there.
Yeah. I've got some challenges ahead of me, and I appreciate you very much. But
I'll pray for you.
I really do. So, but meanwhile, I appreciate all you guys and everybody that contributes. But you know what? Detroit's close to my home, and Butch and George, to have you on this show tonight before something like that, let alone anytime, is tremendously special. It really means a lot. I'm proud of everybody in Metro Detroit. I love Metro Detroit. That's who I am, but I enjoy my time in Florida, but there's no place like home. So next time I get back to town, Butch, we're going to be doing some stuff about the NFL draft. We'll make sure we include you in our coverage up there as well. So
by all means, I'd be honored to do that.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you again sooner than you think. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Fire Up Michigan. So one last time, on behalf of George Eichhorn and Butch Davis, my name is Scott Morgan about the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week, everybody. Until the next time. Looking forward to having Butch on a lot more often, so stay tuned.